got a bit of a problem. My search partner, Neil, called a few minutes ago, and he said he's not going to be able to make it tomorrow. He had some family things come up, and so I'm kind of in a bind here. I'm going to be searching a rocky area along some cliffs, I think, and I'm concerned that there's a risk of rockfall or other, slipping, sliding. Anyhow, just more hazards in general, and I really don't want to search that area by myself. So I'm going to try to call around, call a few friends, see if I can get somebody last minute to come help me look. We'll see what happens. Yes, thank you, Sid. A friend of mine who I haven't done anything with for a while is passing by and this area, and he's going to be able to help me tomorrow. So I'm super excited to not be searching alone, and also excited to spend some time with a good friend. I'm looking at Google Earth here, and about here is where Austin's car and camp was found. Hunter saw him either on this road or probably this road. It was a spur road around Lone Butte. 3 days later, he hitchhiked up here to the berry fields, and where he was dropped off about here, and that's where he was last seen. So I'm trying to figure out if he maybe hiked to the top of Lone Butte here, what would have been his view. And we have Mount Adams in the background, and the Indian Heaven Wilderness in the foreground. His camp would have been more here. And if he was here by Placid Lake and hitchhiked all the way up here with his car down here, I would think that he would try to get back to his car. And with the PCT running along here, this ridge, that seems like a really logical explanation. So I'm searching like I said, the first place that has cliffs nearby, and I can't tell how steep this actually is. Looks like it has some rocks, but I can't tell if they're really bad cliffs. It could. There's some drop-offs here that it looks like you could really hurt yourself if you fall off, but it's really hard to get a perspective. And looking the opposite view, he was dropped off right here, and his camp was over this ridge back about here. Lone Butte and this mountain. So far I haven't been able to find a name for this mountain. I'm sure it has some name somewhere, and I'll see if I can find out what it is. But that's where we're going to start in the morning, is trying to search below these cliffs here. I am just getting to bed way too late here, and just finishing up chores tonight. Realizing I didn't talk to Sid about the strange prints I found last time. I'm just curious what he'll say about that. But I need to polish my boots and get up and get going in the morning.
That's how you heard about it? Just seeing the sign?
Yep. One thing I didn't ask you or talk to you about was Chapter 2, Finding Austin Oldfield. Did you happen to watch Chapter 2?
No, I thought this was Chapter 2.
This is Chapter 3. Chapter 2 happened at the end of my search last time, where I found some large ape-like tracks. Some were about as long as my foot, and some were about 15 inches. Do you believe in Sasquatch?
feel like every office has somebody who has told me about Sasquatch. And I don't not believe in Sasquatch. But I find it suspect.
I do too. And the thing that was weird about these is that they had like these thumbs that went off them. They weren't like, they were like partway down, and so it's not like a Sasquatch foot. Like when you look up online, there's all these pictures of a Sasquatch foot. It wasn't like that. It looked a lot like an ape track, except for the thumb that goes off of it was up a little bit further. Yeah, it was weird.
Cool. Is that why you asked me to come?
Maybe.
I mean, just in case Sasquatch does exist, I've kind of been working on some Sasquatch techniques for taking him down.
Maybe, but I don't really believe Sasquatch exists. I don't know what those are, and people keep on telling me I need to be open-minded, and so I'm trying to be open-minded, but it's still too much of a myth for me. But also, with rocks, there's cougars and rockfall and just the possibility of slipping, and you know, so and I think that's one thing I'm realizing is that it's important not to go by yourself if you can help it.
It's something I've realized as I've gotten older. I need to do things more prudently, like mountain biking, when there's not cell phone reception. Yeah, Sasquatch is really interesting. So I talked to a Sasquatch believer, because every office has one. And he brought up valid points. I said, hey, so what about the game cameras? You know, there would be evidence on game cameras for sure if there was Sasquatch. And he said, would you believe it if I showed you? Touché. So right, yeah, it's just, it seems like too much a little bit because we don't see it, except for the people that have the game cameras say that they've had it.
As we passed, did you see that spine that we just passed on the road?
No, it was horrible search and rescue.
I think it was a deer spine.
Yeah, well, that's Sasquatch's favorite meal, I hear. So when you saw the tracks, were you by yourself?
Yes, I was by myself. And yeah, and I found some other stuff. Yeah, you'll have to watch the video. It was kind of like just this feeling of disbelief, and I just still don't know what to make of it. So that is the North Crater, I believe, the area that we're looking at searching, and I couldn't see it in the clouds last time. You can see there's some clouds over it now. It is a lot more rugged than I thought it was going to be. So we're going to be just barely able to even touch that thing. Shucks. My pants. My pants are soaked. I just went through the brush a little bit there, and left my rain pants in the car because it's kind of a sunny day. So we've decided to head up the PCT here. Now that it's not cloudy this time, I can really see how Sawtooth Mountain is a lot more intimidating than I thought it would be. It's about 900 feet high, or I mean higher than where we're starting out on the trail, and has way more cliffs than I thought it was going to have. I thought it just might be rock screes, but it is not. And so just to come from the bottom, I think we'd be way off the trail, way off of where we might find somebody if they fell off a cliff. But also I don't have a perspective if I don't go up there on the trail of where somebody might go off. So we're gonna head up the trail here and just see what we can see today. Alright, so we've got the Sawtooth Mountain trail that goes up to Sawtooth Mountain here, and the PCT that sticks to the west side of the peak.
I was kind of thinking about what I'd actually do if I were him. I guess it depends on the time of day, but I'm thinking I usually want to go up a peak, and if I'd looked at a map, I'd think, hey, if my camp is over here on the PCT, I can probably summit that peak and just pop down through the woods to my camp. So yeah, I'm thinking that up the hill would be a good idea. Kind of a good plan.
Wow. Mount Adams. That little peak right down there in the center is Sleeping Beauty. And here we have Sawtooth Mountain. I think we might be able to check the bottom of that big rock there. It's a pretty big cliff. Wow, just an amazing view of the Dark Divide.
Man, that goes down a ways.
So we've reached some cliffs here that we're going to search on the west side of Sawtooth Mountain, and I really wish I could get in touch with one of the SARS teams or the sheriff's deputy again. I've been trying, and one of the deputies was good enough to kind of give me some information, but it'd be really helpful if I knew where they'd already searched, because they've done other searches for other people in the area. I don't know that they've searched up here specifically, though. I really have to give our sheriff's department credit, because they really do a lot in this county for a little. We really don't have enough funding. There's a lot of people that come in from the outside community and from the cities like Portland and Seattle, and we've got 2 volcanoes or 1.5 volcanoes and a PCT and a bunch of other Forest Service trails. 90% of the county, over 90% of the county is forest, and only 11,000 residents. So we don't have a lot of tax dollars to collect, and with all the influx of people coming in, they have a lot to do over the summer and over the entire year. And there's also, with the move towards smaller government, that's trickled down, and so we don't get a lot of federal funding for local law enforcement. So I think at night there's only a couple officers out, and if they're at the other end of the county, pretty much most of the time you're kind of out of luck and on your own for at least the first half hour. So you're just defending your own property. And Skamania is a bit better off than even some of the counties in Oregon where they don't have any police officers. So I feel lucky. This looks somewhat treacherous.
Right? It looks like it gets a little bit slidey down there.
So one of the last places Austin was seen was right here below the butte. The hunters, that's where he saw them, and he ran the opposite way. His camp was about right over here, in this area. And I could see how he'd come up this mountain, maybe off the PCT, want to head straight across. And walking through the forest back there, it looks pretty clear and open, but there's a whole lot of forest there, especially on a cold, rainy fall day. Yeah, this area is definitely sketchy. If you took a tumble down here, you'd go a long ways. At least there's huckleberries. I'm kind of just sliding down. Ooh. Yeah. Oh, what's going on? I'm loving these huckleberries. I'm hungry. I ran out of food. Yeah, we've reached the bottom of the cliff here, and we haven't found anything. It's funny. I keep on thinking, oh, I could find him. But like I said, it's a virtual impossibility. And trying to figure out what's driving me still. I think it's, you know, one of the primary things is safety. Just when you're out in the forest, what is safe to be out, you know, for myself. And maybe because there's just this guy that's lost, and also a part of me when I've been, there's a part of me that wants to think if I was lost, I'd want people to come after me and look for me too. And maybe that's why I keep going. Oh, cool. It was looking mild from the other side, but we just keep going up and up. I thought we were at the top, but there's just a little bit higher. This has just gotten as crazy weather to me, and it's hard to even see anything now with how foggy it is. Sid, that looks like a root over there, doesn't it? We decided to head back from Sawtooth Mountain. Made it pretty much to the summit, but you know, the summit's not really where we need to be. And you know, I feel discouraged. It just really hit me that, you know, I knew this is a vast area and huge, but it's just so big. And I can't continue to do this search if it's just about searching for Austin. When I just think about that, it's just overwhelming. So Austin fits into a category of people who go on vision quests and disappear. There's another girl in the county or a young woman who went camping and just left with nothing on but a fanny pack and a knife and went up into the woods and disappeared. And I'd say that Austin is definitely in that category of vision quest. Where he said, I'm going to go out for a month. It's not just a day hike. He's going out to spend some time in nature. So, I don't know that changes things a lot, but I will say this about vision quests. I think our society is missing the ritual of passing along a rite of passage. I think that many people, young people especially, and even adults that are lost slightly because they haven't been given the power of the past generation. And I guess that would be what maybe I want you to leave with as a viewer, is that you have what it takes. Whether you're an adult or a child, you're a valuable person. You can be successful. You can make the best of what you have. Take courage. Move on. Build, grow. Be a better person. If you're lost or feeling lost, I want you to know that you are worth looking for. One other thing, I've talked with a couple of mental health counselors, and they both thought their first impression was that he had schizophrenia just by looking at one of the photos. You know, that's not a complete evaluation, but they've seen a lot of people with a lot of mental illnesses. And if that is the case, what usually happens is somebody with schizophrenia will try to head towards other people, actually. They'll head towards the city, most likely. So there's a chance he's actually alive and in Portland. One of the viewers wrote in, and you can see in the comments, and said that her brother disappeared hiking, and he was gone for, I forget if it was 3 months or 3 years, and they thought he was dead, and he was arrested for arson, and that's how they found him. And while he was in jail, after being arrested, he was diagnosed with schizophrenia. So there are other options out there. I think I still want to try to get in another search or two before the snow flies. I'm not sure if I'll be able to or not. And I definitely want to head into town as well. And you might have already noticed or might be watching this video because I've been posting on Craigslist across the nation too, in case he's in some city somewhere. But if he is in hiding in some ghetto or something, a lot of people that have schizophrenia or other mental illnesses are on the street. There's a possibility he could be going undetected. So a lot of options out there. It's a big world. We'll just see what we find. What do you think, Sid, after going out looking for Austin? What's your reaction to the situation? Do you have any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I guess it wasn't something where we were expecting to find somebody, even though that would have been pretty amazing. Give a lot of closure to their family and the friends, people that loved him. But it was a pretty interesting experience, just in that, you kind of go out there and you get a bigger respect for the search and rescue guys, what they actually have to deal with just in searching for somebody in country like that. There's so much to search for. And then, as we're walking along, all I could think was, who was this guy? What was he thinking when he was out there? Was he, he was kind of on a vision quest, it would seem. So, what was he looking for? What was he like? Where would he go? If somebody were looking for me, they could kind of guess that I would go to a top of a peak. But, it made me think, what kind of a guy was this? As we're walking along, if I was sitting there talking to him, what would that be like? And, so it just brought up a lot of ideas of me wondering who he was, as we kind of walked trails that he had walked most likely, and been in areas he had been.